Over a span of 20 years, two closeted gay ranch hands discover a deep love for one another at a time where being gay meant your life, basically. In this beautiful love story from 2005, Brokeback Mountain, based on the short story by Anna Prohl, the regrettable loser of Best Picture to the film Crash, one of the biggest upsets in Oscar history.
Yeah.
And one can argue the legacy of this film has vastly outweighed the legacy of Crash.
Oh, yes.
Starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger, directed by Ang Lee. This is our connector bonus to Zodiac. I'm Connor Zagari.
And I'm Austin Johnson.
Welcome to a bonus episode of Filmgasm. Brokeback Mountain is it's quite a film. I saw this for the first time earlier this year, and I was floored. I couldn't believe how touching it was, how raw and emotional. It's one of the most complete love stories I've ever seen. And I remember for the longest time it being just the butt of jokes. The term Brokeback Mountain was synonymous with like calling somebody gay for jokes, like for fun.
Yeah.
And I never bothered to see the movie just because I don't really know why. I just didn't.
I know, for me, I know why. I didn't want to get made fun of.
Yeah.
This movie comes out when we're both 10 years old, so obviously we're not seeing it in theaters.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, it doesn't matter, like there's this huge stigma around this movie. Oh, if you watch that, you're gay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you must, Brokeback, like calling gay people Brokeback, like you said, to be funny. It's just a fucking damn shame.
It is. It's horrific.
This is one of the best love story movies that I've seen.
Yeah. It's emotional. It made me. I was sobbing by the end of the movie.
Me too. It shatters me like throughout. There's just, and oh boy, the performances are out of like a fucking museum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is pure art.
Textbook.
Ang Lee's masterpiece. Like it's. Yeah. He won his first Best Director Oscar for this.
Yeah, Ang Lee, obviously, Crouching Tigers, another one that, from 2000. This guy, just had Gemini Man that came out, which, didn't get the best, like, critical acclaim, but...
He won his second Oscar for Life of Pi.
He pushes the envelope. He just does things that are way different outside the box. And,
yeah, very
including Brokeback.
Mm-hmm. He did this in 2005.
Yeah.
Like, this was in the middle of, Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Like, people... We're not that accepting of gay culture as they are now. And even now, it's still tough in some places.
Yeah, for sure.
So to do a mainstream movie about two cowboys fall in love with each other, and not only to have it be a critical success, but a massive financial success.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And that this film has lasted this long, it's still relevant. I watched it recently and I couldn't stop crying.
I know.
It was
holds
such a
up,
powerful movie.
It really holds up. Yeah. I watched it just for the first time a couple years ago because of that stigma and because of that. And I was like, you know what? I love these two guys. I got to see this fucking movie.
Yeah.
And I've heard so many people say on adults, mature people, not kids who are making fun of the movie, say that it's like the biggest steal in Oscar history. That it's just, an absolute damn shame that Crash beat this movie.
Yeah.
This absolute masterpiece. And like you said, that is like advanced and ahead of its time in storytelling and talking about, this is Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal, two young American upcoming stars playing two gay cowboys in the middle of fucking Wyoming.
And props for them for
hell yeah
joining up with this movie.
Hell yeah.
A role that really could have destroyed or typecast both of them so hard, but it didn't. And just to read off the other movies that were nominated for Best Picture that year.
Oh yeah, here we go.
So Crash won. There was Brokeback Mountain. There was Capote.
Huh.
Good Night and Good Luck.
Huh.
And Munich.
Huh. Crash is so much worse than all of those.
It's the weakest movie there. Any one of those would have been a great Best Picture, but they went with fucking Crash.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
It's right up there with giving it to Dances with Wolves over Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Giving it to Shakespeare in Love over Saving Private
Driving
Ryan.
Miss Daisy over Do the Right Thing. And it's just, fuck that.
Green Book over Vice.
Fuck that. Yeah, it's just trash. It's not right. And there's some where you look back and you're like, okay, fair enough.
But then there's travesties.
Then there's like 5 in the past. There's been over 90 now. There's like 5 of them that are like straight up mistakes.
Yeah.
Straight up mistakes that are like, oh, dude, I really wish we could go correct that. This is why I wish the Oscars would like wait a few years to, like, I wish the Oscars that are taking place this year would be for like 2015. So that we could take some time to fucking figure out if this movie's actually good or not.
You think the reason they gave it to Crash was because they were afraid to give it to a gay movie?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's hard.
They gave Ang Lee Best Director.
Yeah.
He was the first Asian to win Best Director.
And it, like you said, it was a huge box office success.
Yeah, 178 mil on a budget of 14 mil. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I just, again, with the legacy of this film, here's the awards it won. It won Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Original Score for Gustavo Santaolalla. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor for Heath Ledger, Best Supporting Actor for Jake Gyllenhaal, Best Supporting Actress for Michelle Williams, and Best Cinematography. And, oh, man, it's such a beautiful movie. So it stars Heath Ledger, would later win an Oscar posthumously for The Dark Knight. Huge up-and-comer, one of the best. It could have been one of the most incredible actors of all time.
The best of his generation.
Easily.
He was going to be.
Easily.
Yeah. He was, and like Jake says that, Jake's like, I worked with him. I was there, and he's like, he's just amazing.
In such a short span of time, he had such an amazing string of movies.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, The Patriot.
Yeah.
I fucking love him in The Patriot. I loved him in The Brothers Grimm.
I agreed. Monsters Ball.
Every movie he did, he gave 110%. A Knight's Tale was great.
Yes. 10 Things I Hate About You, 1999. And then of course his Oscar win. He's just
Joker.
For the life he lived, it was very full of like amazing craftsmanship.
We talked about Heath at length in our Weird Shit Wednesday on the legacy of the Joker. But he tragically died in 2008 at age 28 of an accidental overdose. And Hollywood was never the same. It was one of the biggest shocks in film history, the death of Heath Ledger.
Terrible, yeah.
Just as The Dark Knight was going to turn him into the biggest movie star in the world. And it's a loss I don't think we'll ever get over. Just the amazing amount of potential that died with him.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
It's horrendous. And his work as Ines Del Mar, man, is just...
He's incredible.
It will tear you up, yeah.
It really is.
He will pull your heart out, That's what he will do.
For sure. And his co-star is Jake Gyllenhaal, who we talked about at length in Zodiac. He's another incredible character actor, has appeared in so many great movies. You said one of your favorites is, of course, Zodiac. And
Nightcrawler, Prisoners, Enemy, Nocturnal Animals, Spider-Man, he was amazing.
Nocturnal Animals, I forgot about
this
that
guy,
one.
Donnie Darko, this guy just fucking, I love him, man. As far as I'm concerned, he's only made one mistake, and that was Prince of Persia. But I've heard, on those GQ things we love to watch, there's that one with Jake, and he's like, why would I ever regret acting? Are you fucking kidding me? He has that kind of attitude. Like, I have the coolest job in the world. I like that. I respect that a lot.
Yeah.
You can tell he looks like a lot of fun to work with and to be like, to build that chemistry. Yeah,
I bet he's intense on set.
Yes,
but probably a really fun dude.
But really cool guy. Yeah, when it's just him.
But I would not want to talk to him on the Nightcrawler set.
No, probably not. Probably not.
But if I was playing Mysterio, yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And then we've got Michelle Williams, and at the time, I believe she was with Heath Ledger at the time. She plays Alma, his wife.
Yeah.
His tragic wife. I feel so bad for her in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
She does nothing wrong, but she just... She is a multi-nominee. She's been nominated for Best Actress in the Supporting Role for Brokeback Mountain, Best Actress for Blue Valentine, Best Actress for My Week with Marilyn, and Best Supporting Actress for Manchester by the Sea. She's another highly respected character actress who really shines in pretty much everything she does. And I haven't actually seen her in that much. I saw... I liked her in The Greatest Showman.
Yes.
All the Money in the World. She was great. I thought she was good in Venom, which was such a weird movie for her to pick.
Yeah.
Maybe she just really wanted to work with Tom Hardy. But, I just saw her in Synecdoche, New York. Another great performance in a very fucking weird movie, which we will be talking about at length in a couple weeks.
Blue Valentine, man. She's like,
I haven't seen Blue Valentine.
and Manchester by the Sea with her and Casey Affleck. Yeah, just she's stellar.
She is stellar. And we can't forget Anne Hathaway, who also stars in this film, does a great job.
She's awesome.
And she was nominated for Rachel Getting Married, and she won for Les Miserables. And she's another actress who I think is very underrated. She gives a lot of good performances.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I like Anne Hathaway. And then Randy Quaid is in this.
Mind blowing.
I'm not going to just leave that. Randy fucking Quaid. The weirdest man in the world. Fucking Cousin Eddie, who's currently on the run from either creditors or fucking aliens. Who knows? But only he does, for sure. And he actually has an Oscar nominee under his belt. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for The Last Detail in '73. Who would have thought? Dennis Quaid's weird-ass brother.
Yeah. When you don't know that, when like you find that out, you're just like, what the hell? It's one of those things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
So, Brokeback Mountain has an IMDb score of 7.7, a Rotten Tomatoes score of 87%. As we stated, it was a big success, grossing 178 mil on a budget of 14 mil. And I guess we should get into the plot of this thing.
Let's do this.
Let's talk about this movie.
All right, so we start out in the summer of 1963. Two young men meet and find work sheep herding, as we've talked about. They're cowboys on Brokeback Mountain, a fictional, picturesque setting in Wyoming. So yes, Brokeback isn't like a real, but I think it's representing a lot of very real mountains. I think it's kind of representation of how lonely it can be when you have this kind of work.
This kind of work and this kind of identity.
Yeah, that mountain represents all the mountains. That sort of thing. Ennis Delmar, Heath Ledger, is 19, engaged to be married in the fall, and aspires to someday run his own ranch, following in the footsteps of his parents, who died in a car crash, and left young Ennis and his brother and sister alone to fend for themselves. Not the best upbringing, so it's not. Jack Twist, that's Jake Gyllenhaal, as we've spoken about, is about to be the exact same age, and he dreams of becoming a great rodeo cowboy, a textbook cowboy.
Yeah.
They both feel very lonely in the world, very, don't necessarily know what their identity is. And here they are on Brokeback together, working. While sharing a sheepherd's backbreaking workload, facing the toll and troubles of the weather, shortages of food, and wild animals attacking them, their working friendship eventually develops into something more.
Yeah.
They start drinking together, start kind of like getting more friendly.
Yeah, at first they're kind of almost, I don't want to say antagonistic.
Yeah.
But they're very much just like, you do you, I'll do me. Like, stay out of my shit.
Yes.
Let's get through this. But then they start, becoming chummy.
Indeed. Breaking their employer's rules that one man must sleep with the sheep and one at the camp. One night, after an evening of boozing and shooting the bullshit, they end up sharing the tent to avoid freezing. The bitter cold leads to their sleeping spooned. Jack initiates the touching.
Yeah.
And Ennis eventually responds. And it becomes consensual.
Yep. Let's talk about that for a bit.
Yes.
So that scene, probably the crux of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Incredibly risky for Jack to make a move. I mean, how did he know? How do you know?
I don't know. Neither of you or I can know. We don't have that.
True.
I've heard people say you just do.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like that.
It's an instinct.
Yeah.
But Ennis's first reaction is to attack him.
Yeah.
Like his first instinct is,
what the fuck's going on? Yeah.
What he says, quote, like, I ain't queer or something like that.
Yeah.
And it turns into love. They make love.
Yeah.
And after that, they're both kind of like, what do we do now?
Yeah. So yeah, over the next several days, the two increasingly give into their attraction to one another. I guess they don't. Well, we're alone. We got away with it. I guess we can be honest with one another.
How sad is that? We got away with it.
Well, it's 1963. Yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
In Wyoming.
Fucking dangerous place, man.
Crazy.
For a gay man.
This is talk about these. This first 10 minutes of the film. It is just breathtaking scenery.
Oh, it's beautiful.
The cinematography, the music. Oh boy, you're just entranced. entranced, and immediately you're like, oh, well, man, like these two guys, you're like, what are they about to, are they going back to something? What's going on? So that's what, eventually the summer ends, so work ends.
Yeah.
For these two guys. So the two men separate and continue with their lives. Ennis marries Alma, which is Michelle Williams, who soon gets pregnant very quickly, and they have 2 daughters together, Alma Jr. and Ginny. Jack, on the other hand, is still drawn to other men. Of course, like it's shown that he's struggling with a little bit more than Ennis is, or he's being more honest with himself.
Do you think Ennis is bisexual or just straight up gay? And
I think you got to be bisexual to be able to, I think so.
I don't know, because we see later in the movie that when he does have sex with Alma, he flips her over.
Yeah.
And clearly imagines that it's a man.
Yeah, and she's like not having it. Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah. I don't think we will know. It's a lot of this movie goes on inside their heads. Because it's their identities and it's their struggle. And we only get to see a glimpse of that struggle.
Yeah. Man. Amazing. It's really crazy. This movie, man, it's just sticks with you.
It really does.
So Jack Twist, he's struggling with a little bit more, and there's one night specifically where he's out drinking pretty heavily, and he has a one night stand with Anne Hathaway's character Lorraine Newsom, and they have a child together because of this. So they have a son, and her dad, holy shit. Her dad immediately like hates him, looks down on him, thinks he's a piece of shit. He owns this huge company selling farm machinery, and just thinks that Jack Twist is a piece of dirt, which doesn't help Jack's already him struggling with his identity. Now his father-in-law is just
a piece of shit. He despises him.
Giving him fucking hell no matter what.
They're both so fucking lonely.
Yeah.
It's so sad. God, and no matter what they do, no matter who they marry, the families they make, they're still lonely. All they really have is each other. And it's crazy. It's so sad when where it goes. Oh boy.
There's a jump here, a significant jump from 1963 to 1967 now.
Yeah.
Where these two men, they miss each other, and Jack definitely misses Ennis deeply, and writes him a letter. Like, can we fucking meet up, man? I want to see you again, dude. Even if it's just a talk, we got along. Why would we not rekindle that in any way? It just, man, you're just already like, oh, this movie, it's just going to be tough for them to figure this out. It's going to be really tough. And boy, it is.
You can't maintain that kind of relationship.
No. So, I mean, Jack and Ennis agree. Like, Ennis is like, yeah, you can come up here, man. Come up to Wyoming. So Jack is in Texas with his wife, and he drives up to Wyoming. This is a 4-year gap, man, since they've seen each other. When they see each other, that's like one of the most powerful moments of the movie. You have Michelle Williams, you have Alma looking out the window, kind of like, who is this guy? He's going down the stairs so fast. And before Jack gets there, Ennis is like drinking a lot of beers and smoking cigarettes left and right. And so you can tell he's nervous. And she's just kind of like, what's the big deal? Like, isn't this some old fishing buddy or something? Or like, what? And when Jack gets there and he goes down the stairs, they just start kissing. They don't know what to do. He pushes him against, I think it's Ennis who pushes Jack against the wall. And they just start kissing because they don't know what else to do. Because they're in love, man. This is, they can't ignore it anymore. It's been a 4-year gap. And even then they had this just strong connection. And it is.
And Alma sees it.
Yes, she does. Right from that window. Not very far away at all.
That's got to be the most devastating feeling to have that kind of, to have your loved one cheat on you, B, to have your loved one cheat on you with somebody of the same sex. And her devastation is warranted. And it's really, it's hard to pick anybody's side in this movie because nobody's a bad person. She's just hurt in the worst possible way she could be. And you get it. But you also don't want Ennis to not be happy too. Yeah,
you're also like, because she's like sickened by it.
Yeah.
She's like disgusted by this homosexual act, and so that part you're like, ugh. But you're like, but that's her husband. That's the father of their 2 daughters. So you're like, yeah, it's so human. This movie is so human, so naturalistic the way it kind of unfolds.
Yeah.
That you just watch. You're just watching and just There's nothing you can do, man. You can't. There is no side to choose
There isn't.
because there's not, like you said, they're not. No one's like wrong technically. It's a bad time. 1960s in Wyoming, just not a good time for this kind of a situation.
Dude, fucking now in Wyoming.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's-
It's just this. You know,
but I
50
get you,
years,
yeah.
it was 60 years ago now.
God.
Jesus H. You know, it's crazy. So obviously Alma is upset.
Yeah.
Ennis and Jack go out. They go to a hotel. They make love again, and they hang out, and they're drinking, smoking cigarettes together, just having a good time. And you know, Alma obviously this is, you know, she's getting fed up with these quote unquote fishing trips that are happening.
She leaves like a gift in his tackle box that he never finds.
Yep,
No, oh,
man.
so
So
devastating.
she knows, and years pass. 8 years pass, and finally she's like, "We got to get divorced, man."
Holding on to that pain for 8 years.
Whew.
But both of them.
Both of them, yeah, everybody,
Yeah.
yeah. So 1975 is where we would be now, and that's when Alma's like, "We're done, man," and I'm taking custody of the 2 kids, and that's what happens. So, you know, not a good spot for Ennis. You know, his 2 kids are with his, you know, ex-wife now, and so as soon as Jack hears about this, he shows up in Wyoming, hoping to now be able to live a life ranching with Ennis, who is torn. You know, and Jack's like, "Hey, man," like. And Ennis is like, "Whoa, you know, it's not that simple, you know." What was your mind going through then? Because you're like, "Oh, like they could be together," but it's like not really.
I think, well, I always thought it was interesting that Jack always had to come to him. Ennis never made the effort to go see Jack. Because
Never.
Ennis is terrified of what could happen. He doesn't want to be, it's simple. In town, he doesn't want to be known as the gay guy. He doesn't want to be known as the queer. He doesn't want that label on him or his family. He's scared of who he is. Jack is way more open about who he is. And I knew that this was never going to work because Ennis can't face reality here.
And he can't commit.
He can't commit.
Yeah.
He's got a wall. And Jack, while he can, you know, occasionally get through the wall, he's never going to do it for good. It's sad. It's extremely sad.
Very. Ennis explained. You know, there's a very big scene that is probably the most powerful scene when Ennis is explaining to him, "Man, like we can't do this, dude." And he tells that story about how his own father dragged that guy by his genitals because he was homosexual, you know, and killed him. And he's like, "That's what they'll do to you, man, if they find out. These locals, these fucking country people. That's what they'll do to you, man. They're homophobic. They don't like that." And you know, Jack's just like, "So, you know, like what about us? What about being honest about our feelings?" And it just, you know, it creates this crisis, you know, this emotional crisis that it's very hard to think about because people go through this shit, man. People have gone through this shit. Yeah, it's wild. So,
You think on some level Ennis is trying to spare Jack from that same fate?
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Because he's like, "Man, I'm in Wyoming. You're in Texas. I know Texas is very country, but you guys have bigger cities. You guys actually have cities. We don't, you know." I think he's thinking like, you know, it's very, very real here. I know it's real everywhere, but it's even more real here. Like, it is the country. And it's rough, dude. Jack's like really excited, you know, thinking like, "Oh, this can happen." But, you know, he's like, "Look, we can't be queer, man." And it's like, we can't. So this leads to an arrangement whereby Jack drives from Texas to Wyoming to meet with Ennis 3 or 4 times a year, each meeting leading to another very emotional departure. And we have one where Jack just gives this speech that is, like jaw-dropping, you know.
It's the scene that got him.
"I
the
tell you
nomination.
what,
Yeah.
we could have had a real good life," you
Yeah.
know. And you just, you know, I just have chills immediately. And Jake Gyllenhaal, his best moment ever.
So now all we got is Brokeback Mountain. Mm-hmm. God damn, man.
Yeah, and Ennis is just, you know, sick. He's just like, I don't know how to respond. I don't know what all this is. I don't know what committing means. I don't know. It's just, yeah, so much emotion happening. It is, oh boy, it's tough to handle. So, jumped 3 years later, 1978. Ennis is starting to struggle financially. He's desperately struggling to make ends meet and pay child support, and becomes briefly involved with a waitress, Cassie Cartwright, which is played by Linda Cardellini. Fascinating performance by her. As a result, Ennis meets less frequently with Jack, who visits Mexico looking to satisfy his physical wants and desires from other men.
Yeah.
And that's not totally fun to see because those look pretty like shady underground bars, you know.
They seem like reminded me of Boogie Nights when
Yeah.
the guy traps Dirk Diggler
Oh god.
and
yeah.
they beat the shit out of him for being gay. That that they think.
Yeah.
And in
yeah.
this case, I kept expecting, Jackson to get trapped. Ugh. Fuck.
Yeah, this is sorry. So Jack is, taunting Ennis with, "Hey, I had to go do this. I had to go mess around because this is what I needed."
Yeah.
And he says, "I wish I could quit you." Just trying to dig in, get under that skin, make him think and crawl. Just breathtaking stuff. These guys, these two. I don't know how they did it. There's just camaraderie is like when you find it when it's right for like a good hour and a half, 2 hours. It's like bam.
Dude, the chemistry is unbelievable.
It's uncanny.
They are so
crazy.
You believe every bit of this relationship.
Yeah. Still, yeah. Yeah. Oh man. So there's no way. There's no out. There's no winning for either of them anymore.
No.
By this time, they're both in their late 30s. It's now 1980, and Ennis gets a postcard. He sent Jack that's returned deceased. And so when Ennis contacts Jack's wife, Anne Hathaway's character Lorraine, she tells him Jack was accidentally killed by a tire iron while changing a flat. And you just...
Dude, your heart sinks with it.
Because even though, like I just said, there was no out or no hope, it's like, but I was still holding on to it.
It's still a movie. We're still hoping
Yeah,
for that ending.
I still want them to see each other again, like...
But to hear that, and for him to have to not break down, for him to have to hold on strong and still not reveal his love, but mourn inside. The fact that I can't believe he didn't win for this.
Yeah, I mean, when he's on the phone, he like envisions Jack being beaten to death because that's like the story he told him when they were up on Brokeback.
There's no way to tell if that's what happened, but there's a good to fair chance. Jack was not very good at hiding this. Ennis kept this a secret. Jack was pretty open about this. In the wrong places.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's the part that was the first part that made me break. That broke me.
Yeah.
Just, Ennis in the phone booth.
And just as Ennis had described happened to a neighbor, like I said, when he was a child. So Lorraine also tells Ennis that Jack wanted his ashes spread out at his favorite place, Brokeback Mountain.
Oh.
And then I have to, Lorraine is like, why? What, I don't know, whatever. She's a lot more clueless than Alma was. So he's got to do this shit. He's got to fucking do this, right? This is our ending. This is what we need to happen as an audience, right? So Ennis goes to visit Jack's childhood home, where Jack's father, played by Peter McRobbie, insists that Jack's ashes will be placed in the family burial plot, like everybody. At Jack's mother's invitation, that's played by Roberta Maxwell, Ennis visits Jack's bedroom, where he finds 2 shirts. His and one of Jack's, worn by the 2 young men in that first summer in 1963. And smeared with their blood from a fight that they got into one time when they were arguing about their feelings because they didn't know how to handle them. The shirts hang together on the same hanger, tenderly folded into one another. Jack's denim shirt with Ennis's dress shirt inside. Ennis takes the shirts with him and he decides to leave the house. Ennis, oh man. What a scene, it's just...
Yeah.
And he says, I swear, Jack, just like, whew.
And that's the scene that maybe burst into tears.
Yeah, I'm crying right now, man.
Yeah, man.
So Ennis, he moves into like a low bare, small trailer because he doesn't have a lot of money. He's alone now, very alone. Nothing and no one. Jumping forward to 1983 now, and he gets a visit from his 19-year-old daughter, Alma Jr., who's played by Kate Mara, who's had a very cool career, and she brings happy news and a sense of hope because she's engaged. And, he's like, oh, man, like, he wants to know, like, does this guy really love you? He's like, just being a dad, She says he does, invites Ennis to the wedding, and then she leaves. And, Ennis sits beaten down by years of hard work, alcohol, aged, heartbroken with him and his shirts and Jack's shirts still entwined, now reversed, and it's just shirt over Jack's in a postcard with a picture of Brokeback Mountain. I swear, Jack. Just a absolute masterpiece. 10 out of 10. Not even fucking, not even close. I've never even thought about giving this anything but a perfect score from the first time I saw it. It's got to see this one. It is a classic. Like,
it's one of the most important movies of the 2000s.
Yeah,
maybe of all time.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah.
And I gave it a straight up 9. With a couple more viewings, this could easily become a 10.
Yeah.
It's emotional. It's gonna grab you. I don't care who you are, what your beliefs are. This movie's going to rip you apart emotionally.
Yeah.
And that's owed almost, pretty much entirely to the flawless chemistry between Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal. And, watching it now, about a decade after Heath's death, it hits you even harder. All of his films hit you even harder.
Oh, yeah. This one especially, man. This one especially, because he's dealing with a guy who died. It's just so weird watching it, and he just fucking is like dissolves into the screen, into his character. He goes from age 19 to 40 in this movie, and I just don't even fucking think about it.
There's very little makeup. It's just him, the way he holds himself.
Yeah, the way he walks, how he drinks, how he smokes, he oh man, he was gonna have one of the best careers of all time. It's such a fucking shame. Sucks. But guys like Jake, guys who worked with him, I think they kind of carry part of him with him forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And films like this will ensure that he is never forgotten.
Oh fuck no. Yeah.
Heath Ledger will always be counted among the greats in my book.
Hell yeah. Even if he just had this.
Yeah.
Even if he just had Joker, you know what I'm saying? He had those standalone, just brilliant. And then you put them all together and you're like, man, this guy had a nice career. And he died before he was even 30. It's wild. Just wild.
Goddamn.
Ang Lee's masterpiece.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, if you listen to us talk this whole way, you just have to watch it. You have to watch it. Watch it again. Check it out. Just immerse yourself in this film. Yeah, like Connor said, it's one of the most important films of the century, and then definitely just ever. Yeah, it's awesome.
Without a doubt. And we better wrap this up before we get too emotional.
Yeah.
Stay tuned next week for Blade on Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
And we don't know what we got coming for you on Sunday, but I'm sure it'll be something.
It'll be cool. Something, yeah.
Something really kick ass. Thank you for listening to our Zodiac episode and our Brokeback Mountain episode, and hope you enjoyed it. And definitely go watch this movie. It's important for sure.
Agreed.
And see you next time.
Peace.